All right, we should be. All right. We are officially live with Ashley Maria. Excuse me. Sorry, I've been losing my voice today. So
My
I
name is
have,
Ashley.
yeah. So I have Francesca Kelly who's going to help out with the Q&A, but please join the Zoom. If you need the Zoom link, you can email me or however, because I'd love to get more people in here to discuss this very important film. So I want to introduce Ashley here. So Pioneers and Skirts director Ashley Maria is oh good, here's more. Is a filmmaker located in Los Angeles, California. She received her MFA from USC School of Cinematic Arts, Fight On, and is known for her work on many features and short films. When not on set, Ashley is a directing instructor at UCLA's Film School and a sound instructor at the American Film Institute's Young Women in Film program. She is the recipient of the prestigious Directors Guild of America Award, and most recently, she was recognized as the best new director at the DTLA Film Festival. Ashley is also a delegate to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, where Pioneers in Skirts screened last month. So let's give her all a digital round of applause.
Thanks everyone for being here. We got some like graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do mean this to be a discussion, correct? So those folks that are on Zoom can ask questions and participate. And again, if you would like to participate on Zoom, do you mind if we post the Zoom link publicly?
Do I mind?
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
I
because I
mean,
think that might
yeah.
help with maybe registration confusion or something. So, Andrew, if you wouldn't mind tweeting that out, Andrew's our amazing.
Sure,
Yeah,
no
it sounds
problem.
like
I will
we've
do
got
that.
a lot of the teammates on the call too. You all have been
Yes,
doing an amazing job.
thank you. You know, I want to get into your stuff, but I am very blessed to have amazing people like Dr. Anglin and folks that have helped us with this.
Yeah.
So, but I want to jump right into Pioneers and Skirts. So, first of all, if you haven't seen Pioneers and Skirts, and again, if you're just joining us, I see a lot of people are starting to join on YouTube, etc. My voice is going, so Francesca Kelly is their lead student director, is going to be helping me out. She has the same list of questions that I do. So, but I do want to do my best effort to go forward because I've been really looking forward to this. Ashley and I went to school together at USC. We were in the same 546 class and got to know each other that way. We did some video game stuff together at E3 and
Right.
yes.
I didn't forget about it. I actually think about it all the time, but I'm like, that's right. I remember now.
Yeah. But when I saw Ashley's movie Pioneers and Skirts, you know, as her passion project, I really wanted to bring it to Washburn for y'all to watch. So if you want to watch it, www.wi-fifilmfestival.com. The information's right there. It's going to be available until tomorrow at 10 p.m. And I really encourage you to watch it. It's a very, the topic is very serious, but I feel like it's an uplifting movie because it gives you inspiration to change. And that's what I like about documentaries, are the ones that make you want to change the way things are. And I feel like this one does a really good job at that. So let's go ahead and start talking about the movie. So what scenes or moments in the film had the biggest impact on you? Or excuse me, you follow and interview several people in the film. How did you decide on who to interview for the movie?
Sure. Yeah, so you're doing a good job. I'm sorry. It sounds like allergies is the issue, and I know I hate that. It's that time of year, everybody.
Yep.
So we started out the film really just trying to, like, Leanne's my mom, and we made the film together, and we didn't set out to be a mother-daughter filmmaking team, but it just happened because we both knew we wanted to solve this problem I was facing and then she faced also. So we really just started out in this research phase, which is really important when you're making a documentary film, especially if you're not really sure where it's going to go. You want to make sure you are asking a million questions, filming it, getting good sound, getting good video, because you never know if you're actually going to use it later in the film. And so Leanne and I invested in like a DSLR, and I already knew how to do sound. And we just started asking questions of people. And one thing led to another, led to another, led to another. So like, for example, we went to a girls conference in North Carolina. It was like, I don't know, Girls R Us. I don't know what the name of the conference was, but it was like, okay, what are they actually showing these girls? Like teaching them about career, teaching them about self-image, confidence. And over in the corner was this robotics team. And we're like, oh, what's that about? And so we got to know this team, which then led us to the team that you see in the film. So the important thing is like, you follow many stories, you follow many characters, but they may not all make it into the film, but it influences you in one direction or the other. And so eventually we found the 3 young girls that are in the film. And the funny thing was, like, we weren't totally sure what their story was going to be either. And so we just kept going back to them, asking questions, seeing how their lives progressed, because one of the solutions in the film that we talk about is how it's the middle school age for young girls, that, these biases, the sexism, the stereotypes really start to ingrain in a young woman. And so that's one of the ages where we discovered, like, you really have to get in there and nip it in the bud right away. And so we're like, okay, well, how are they doing that? Is it working? And so we just kind of knew it was going to keep going. And that's why documentaries take so long sometimes, because you're following characters for years. And then Lily, who is our young mom in the film, she is one of my best friends from UNC Chapel Hill. Go Tar Heels. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Of course.
I know, I'm like, you never know anymore. But she was the one that we were like having dinner with, and she told us her story, and it was actually my mom who said, "You're going to be in our movie." And I was like, I don't know, I don't want to, impose. It sounds like she's really going through something. And then mom definitely said, no, we're filming it. So that's really nice when you have a partner in crime. You know what I mean? When you're making a film, you have somebody who can kind of champion if maybe you're second guessing something, and then vice versa. Like if she's second guessing something, I'm like, hey, no, we can do it. Let's do it, And then the really cool thing, obviously I'm in the film, so I knew me. But I wasn't supposed to be in the movie. All right, y'all? I wasn't
Really?
supposed to. I was scared out of my mind to tell my own story, but it was my own story that got people interested. And so it was a conversation again with some supporters of the film. We were kind of like, oh, it felt so natural. Thank you, Francesca. It was scary, but we had this conversation, all of us together, just saying, listen, people aren't going to take it seriously. They're just going to think it's another woman complaining, frankly, if you're not honest about your story. And the other aspect to this is I knew we wanted to, I knew as a director, I wanted people in the film who weren't used to being on camera, because I wanted it to feel more authentic. I wanted it to be somebody that you could easily relate to. And so because of that, a lot of our interviewees were not comfortable being on camera. And so I would be on camera with them. And that's why I think it felt really fluid, because I actually was on camera a lot, or you heard my voice a lot, because I wanted these people to feel comfortable. And then when it comes to all of our experts, and this is where I say, like, you just got to go out there. You can plan all you want, then you just got to start. One of the really cool things is, like, we have Brad Feld in the film, who's a venture capitalist. We have Lucy Sanders, who is the CEO of a tech organization that encourages more women in tech, more diversity in tech. And then we have Sarah Bird, who's the CEO of a company in Seattle. And we found all of them. We call it like the bouncing ball. We follow all of them. Thanks to this one event we went to in DC. It was the world's White House Summit on Working Families. We were invited to the White House back in 2014. I'm saying it takes some time, y'all. And that's where we met Sarah. We told her what we were trying to do because she was the only person there who like talked to people as if like, here's what you need to do. Like there's all this advice out there saying you need to believe in yourself. Sure. Now what? I do, done, got it. Now what? And that's how she spoke to people in the room. And so again, it was Leanne saying, we should know her. And I'm filming, I'm over here. Like if you see the movie, you see a very important person in the movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but that was me over there filming. Okay. Mom hunted her down and said, you need to know about pioneers and skirts. And so then she said, you got to meet Brad. Brad said, you got to meet Lucy. And then we made it all happen. And so I think I'm making it sound like Leanne was the one running around telling everyone they're going to be in our movie. But really, we were much kinder than that. We're like, would you like to be in it? That's how we
wonderful.
found a lot of them. And then you just, you film and you figure out the story that you're trying to make, and then maybe you go and do pickups. And so a lot of advice I give to new doc filmmakers is like, maybe film your interview in a situation where you can recreate it later, very simply put, like a green screen or something. Or you give the audience reason why we're in a new space, a new environment. So like we followed the young girls, and sometimes we'd be, out in the competition, and sometimes we'd actually be in the classroom where they're working. And so you just kind of set it up and go, now we're in a new space. Now we're in a new space. Okay. That's some editing tips for you.
Wonderful. Appreciate the filmmaking tips too, because she knows that very well as well. So one of the things I thought was really interesting was watching the film. I can tell, and from my own experiences as a professor, I know a lot of my students have experienced issues, and I've talked to them about the issues that they face. Being a guy, I can never fully understand what that's like, but I try to empathize. But all that said, facing that stuff nearly constantly, how do you keep from burning out as you push against this kind of bias in the workplace every day?
That's a great question. That's exactly why we made the movie. There is an element of that where you have to know that it's not your fault. It's not you. And so I'm talking to women, I'm talking to anyone who's felt not included, who's felt marginalized, who's felt different. There is so much going on in our culture that is forcing stereotypes on us without even realizing it. And that's why we talk about unconscious bias. So that's just you not even knowing that something is in play in your brain, making a decision for you. And so because of that, one of the ways to avoid burnout is just to kind of assume good intent. And this is something I learned from Kat Cole, who was a former CEO of Focus Brands, which is like Cinnabon and things like that. She was the one that said, listen, you're only going to survive it. I mean, she didn't say, but she's like, you're only going to survive it if you just assume good intent. Like this person just has no idea that they are treating me this way, treating me differently. And then sometimes you have to confront it. Sometimes you have to call it out. You have to leave emotion at the door. You can't bring that to the situation. You just have to talk about it. You pull them aside and you talk about it. And if that's not working, you get an ally in the room. So you find somebody who they are going to listen to. And that is quite frustrating because hopefully men, as you're hearing this, you're like, wow, look at all of this extra energy women of color have to go through in order to just be able to do their job. And so to that end, because burnout is so real, get yourself a support team. Is that a women's group? I'm a part of Alliance of Women Directors. I'm a part of Film Fatales. I'm also a part of a women's group called Business and Professional Women, who none of them are filmmakers. And it's actually quite nice to go around non-filmmakers because they make you feel really cool, right? But the important thing is you're not alone. This isn't your fault. Yes, we all have business development. Yes, we all have to get better. But there's just so much in play that is stopping us. And it's only if you recognize it and see it that you'll be able to overcome it. And then you have to address it. You have to call it out the moment it happens, or it's going to continue. And that's really, really scary. And that's why when we talk to leaders in organizations, we talk to, managers, we say, like, you have to create an environment where it's safe to speak up like that. And keep your questions coming. I'm loving this. Okay.
Okay. Wonderful. So this is something, as a guy, I had excuse me, I had no idea the issues that women faced growing up, and it wasn't really until I started having more friends that were female and witnessing them firsthand and really understanding that yes, there were a lot of issues that women were facing that I never had to face. What's the best thing to approach someone like that who again might have, and I know you covered it a little bit, but has good intentions, but is yet completely ignorant on the topic without alienating them? Because I've tried to
Yeah.
do it and I feel like sometimes I alienate.
It's a good question too. I have had to get better at it over time. I have a real good friend who started this organization called the Directors List, and I was like, "How do you teach people that women need? There's like a fraction of women directing major motion pictures." And she's like, "Sometimes you just have to enter the conversation with statistics. Sometimes facts are what make people finally listen. And if you watch Pioneers in Skirts, you'll see that we run that fine line. So, we talk about the stats and then we give you the person behind the stat, and I think that's why I also had to put a piece of myself in the film is people were coming up with every reason why women aren't succeeding besides the fact that there is a systemic issue. She's complaining, she's not working hard enough, she just needs a mentor. All right, everybody? No. There's so much more going on. And I mean, we're talking about walking in the room and people placing assumptions upon you without even you opening your mouth. And that's important for men to hear. And it sounds like, men are definitely engaging in the conversation. We intentionally made a film so that men could engage and feel
Right.
like they're a part of it and not being yelled at the whole time, because they have to be a part of it. You can't rely on women to fix this only.
And I just want to say, for anyone that hasn't seen the movie yet, that might be male and think it's going to be, an hour and a half of you're terrible. It's not at all. It is a very inclusive for men documentary about how we can help the situation. And speaking about being inclusive, Francesca. Oh, Dylan. Francesca has something, and then we'll go to Dylan.
Okay. So how do you have that dialogue with the young woman about the topics in the film? Like, you see in the film you talking to those younger women.
Yeah. There's like a piece of me each time that's like, I don't want them to know that it's happening because I don't want them to be scared. And like that, I understand. And then I know that if we don't have these conversations, if we don't raise awareness to it, the moment it happens, nip it in the bud. You can't say this. I mean, it's grandparents will sometimes say like, hey, even girls can do math, even girls can do science. Like that's damaging, right? So acknowledging it when it happens is going to help her overcome it faster. This has nothing to do with me. There's a systemic issue, like acknowledging it, because it's not like if you just believe in yourself, if you know it's out there, because that's exactly what happened to me, right? And that's again why I had to put my story in there, is like I was confident, I was a go-getter, and I had people chip at me every chance they had, called me aggressive, called me a bitch, and it sucked. It really sucked. And so I took it personally because I was like, what am I doing? Why is this? What am I doing wrong? Right? What am I doing wrong? So although the conversation is tough, and luckily for me, I had my mom to talk to, and then we started making a movie about it. Although the conversation is tough, you have to have it because it could come and bite her later, and affect her when she's 25, 27, and she's burning out because she's seeing her male counterparts soar past her. And that is statistically proven. And so that's why I say you have to talk about it. Thank you, Francesca.
You're muted, Matt.
I want to
You're
also
muted.
remind myself to turn on my mic, but I also want to remind you that you can write in questions on any of the different streaming platforms you're watching this on. And I'm happy to read those out loud. Dr. Stover, who's our chair, said such a good point about unconscious bias and burnout. And I want to go ahead and turn this over to Dylan. What was your question, sir?
And I probably shouldn't be admitting this, but I'm probably the only one here that has not seen Pioneers in Skirts yet. But
you better watch it soon, bud.
I will. I did watch the trailer before coming on here, and it looks phenomenal. I knew it was something I wanted to watch just from the title, but I'm definitely into equality and one thing that I constantly wonder about, because I'm definitely someone who's always defending women and sticking up for them and people of color and whatnot like that. But one thing I always wonder, and I think a lot of men wonder this, is what's the best way that men can help to progress women and stand up for them without making them feel like, because I know some women might feel like it's just, oh, they're just helping out because we're creating noise. How do if that makes sense, how can men like help women without making them feel that way?
Okay, so once you watch the movie, you're going to get a lot of those answers too, okay? So I'm going to say a few things that are in the movie, so I'm spoiling it a bit. One of the most important things you can do is raise your awareness to the people that surround you. So when you're in a room and you're having group discussion, notice who's talking, notice who's not talking, notice who's listening, not listening. And if you have clout, if you have leadership in that space, it's your job to do something about it. So you say, hey, I want to hear from Amy. Amy, what was your idea again? Oh, I really liked what she said. That's really good. So no, you're not, patronizing her. You're not like, oh, that's so great. You're simply just saying, I liked that. Let's move. Okay, now next. And that's something we do talk about in the film, because it's really, I don't need to be put on a pedestal because I'm a woman, but it's pretty obvious I am fighting a battle that you're not. And so I need help. I need you to be beside me. I don't need you to be in front of me. I need you to be beside me. And then another thing you can do is simply ask, how can I help you in these situations? How's it going? Is there something I should be aware of? Again, create a space where people can talk to you. And then have conversations with your male counterparts one-on-one. There's this issue right now where people are advocating for each other, but they were doing it in the public so that people know they've done it. And that's not necessary. If anything, it's kind of like, should I be applauding you? Like, sure, you're an ally, that's great, but if you're rubbing it in my face, what's the point? So be an ally, but don't feel like you need to be pat on the back every single time. And watch Pioneers in Skirts and share it with your male counterparts and female.
Definitely.
Or non-binary. I mean, everybody.
Everyone out there, definitely watch this movie. It's a good movie, and it's definitely one that I wanted to bring here and for all you to watch. Regina has a question.
I didn't really have a question. I have a comment. I just wanted to say I watched the film last night. I thought it was terrific. And I just kept thinking, I was watching it, of all the different groups that would benefit from watching this film. It's interesting to me. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. So, and my dad was a truck driver. So there was like, it never occurred to me growing up that girls couldn't do things because we had to do them. My dad was not, it's like, and we moved a lot. So the first thing I learned was like, if I want my bed assembled, then I'm, and not have to worry about what everybody else is doing, going crazy, then I'm going to figure it out. And now I'm the mom of 2 teenage boys, which is very different. I mean, I was like, I'm never going to be a mom, first of all, and I'm certainly never going to have boys. So never say never. And now they're both teenagers, so it's really crazy. But I just want to say I heard so much truth in your film, and I just really appreciate it. And I thought you did a great job. And I really kind of thought you were the glue that kind of held all of the pieces together, and made it flow really, really well. So
Thank you.
yeah,
We
but I'm
had,
not a filmmaker or anything. I'm just a fan.
oh, please be my best friend now. Yes. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
We have a comment in from Facebook. All
Like,
men.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you can go ahead.
I was
I'll
just
read
gonna
after.
say, yeah. I please more things. I just want to say, Regina, we had a team of editors who came in. Leanne and I were kind of editing, and then we had a team of editors come in, and our lead editor, Tiffany, just really took my story and streamlined it. And I mean, it's, for the lack of a better metaphor, she built the skeleton and then I came in and put the meat back on. Gross. But that was so important to be able to bring in an editor who really knew what they were doing, knew the topic. We would have long conversations of what we're trying to accomplish. And she would say, okay, this scene is accomplishing that. This scene is not. So let's fix it, And so that was really, it made us both go, this is the movie we've been trying to make. We just needed somebody else, another brain who didn't live it day in and day out to help us make it. So for all you filmmakers, get yourself a team, because it really helps you understand your story better when you can communicate it with other people and get their input. Okay, thank you.
Ashley said it too. I say that to the students too. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Official.
Dennis Damon writes in from Facebook. Great advice. All men need to be doing exactly what she just said.
Thank you, Dennis. Dennis is one of our big supporters.
Oh,
he's
awesome.
One of our big fans. Yeah. Regina, you can be our Dennis too. Like, come on in.
Very cool.
Dennis is incredible. Yeah.
We also got a question. How long is Pioneers and Skirts going to be available? It'll be available until tomorrow at 10 p.m. So, watch it.
Just so you know, it's 60 minutes long. So it's only an hour. And we did that intentionally so that you feel like you could talk afterwards. So make sure you do that. Yeah.
And it's entertaining too. I mean, I think so anyway.
That was important. Again, I'm just going to take over. Matt.
Do it.
That was another thing really important to us, because we knew this topic is tough. Like we knew we were making a film for somebody basically like me, who was in college going, I've been yelled at enough about feminism. I don't need to be yelled again. And and you go, okay, well, how can I create a topic, and how can I create a film that is going to feel more welcoming, I guess. And so that's why we put in funny, culture footage. We put in funny moments. We tried to make everything feel, like you're being talked with rather than talked at. Because I knew, like, I wasn't listening if I felt like I was being yelled at. And so we wanted you to listen. Okay, I'm done.
That's great. And I think it does that. I think it does give that conversation. So one of the things, and you do talk about this in the film, but as a dad, it breaks my heart to know that my daughters are going to have to go through this. If I could give them some kind of verbal armor that would help protect them, to keep, all those, like those little girls that they're not little, they're, they're grade school, when they talk about how they want to follow through and get stuff done and all that. What's the best way to try to empower them? And if you watch the movie, you'll see some of this, but I didn't know if you had any additional.
There's this notion of, let's do the work now so we can just get out of their way, right? Let's do the work on ourselves. Let's do the work on our system, our culture, so that we just get out of the way and the young girls can pursue the dreams they want, pursue what they want. I think that's like the dream, right? So that they can just focus on the work, big dreams, let's go. Because we have that in the film too, a young girl who says, really? I'm going to second guess myself in the future. No way. And don't you watch it and you go, God, I want to be her when I grow up.
Yeah.
So instead, yes, there's armor. I mean, when I was really little, my mom would say things to me. She'd be like, all right, Ashley, what does a woman need? And I would yell out, money of her own, and I was like 5 years old. So that was something we did. So maybe you can come up with something like that. I don't know if that's necessary, like if that would really relate to what's going on today. But I mean, I think really just being involved, asking questions, seeing what she's curious about, talk about things when you observe them. Same with boys. Talk about it. How do you feel right now? There's a book out there that I follow an account called A Call to Men, and it's really just about how do we raise our boys to be more inclusive as well. Because again, we talk about in the film, the boys need to know that the girls are supposed to be there too. So they have this book called Big Book of Dares, and it's for parents of little boys to just, be more emotional, be more connected with who you are. So I think when it comes to girls, we have this idea that we want to protect them from the world, and sure, but we need to have conversations about what it is we're trying to protect them from, and try to go at those things instead of going to her and saying, I need to protect you, I need to build you up. I need to go over here and tell them, enough, you're done. That can't happen anymore.
Thank you. That's a very good answer. We've got a couple more chats. One thing I do have to say, this chat was brought to you by Humanities Kansas. So thank you very much, Humanities Kansas, for sponsoring this great talk. We really appreciate it. And I think it's a very important talk. Dr. Stover writes in, I did research on mentoring women in graduate school, and the research suggested the need of women to get more formal and informal mentoring from other women. In fact, informal mentoring, more organic, was more impactful. Do you find that this is needed in the filmmaking field as well?
So we love the term sponsor. Have you all heard that term? So we're all told, hey, we need to find a mentor. Have you heard of sponsor? So what we need in the film industry is more sponsorship. Is it Daria? Is that right, Daria? She came on camera, so I'm like, oh, does she know what I'm talking about? No, I don't know. Yeah, so sponsorship is when somebody thinks of you for opportunities, and that's what we need more of. We have, there are mentors out there. We're each other's mentors. Mentor's not an age restriction, right? We can be each other's mentor. You need help, I got you. I need help, you got me. But if an opportunity comes along, I need you to think of me in the room. I need you to say, oh, Ashley's a good choice for that. Same with our film, right? If you're in a situation, you're like, hey, Pioneers and Skirts would actually be really helpful in this dialogue. Like, that's the kind of thing that we need. You need to think of people who are beyond your circle, your immediate circle, and go, who would be best for this? Let me see. And that's, I was thinking earlier, it's like, now you all are going to be, graduating and going out into the industry. Think about what's going to happen when you become a mentor. How are you going to find those people? Are they going to look just like you? And how are you going to think of them in the future? So yes, formal mentorship, informal mentorship. I think most of mine have been informal, but sponsorship is really key. Thinking of people for opportunities. And so that means if you're looking for a sponsor, you don't knock on the door and say, will you be my sponsor? Same for a mentor. But you just tell this person, you want to get to know them and you want them to know the work that you do. So a sponsor could be a boss, it could be somebody in the company, it could be a teacher. You just want them to think of you for opportunities.
Wonderful. And Daria does have a question.
Daria, okay, good.
So it's kind of like two questions in one. What is the greatest challenge that you faced in the production of this documentary and on your journey as a filmmaker, and how did you overcome those?
So definitely the greatest challenge was, so as a filmmaker, like Pioneers in Skirts came to be because of this challenge I was facing as a filmmaker. I'd walk on set and people would assume I was the girlfriend, you know, anything but the person in charge. I would be, you know, looked at as somebody who's trying to be a director rather than a director. I was sexually harassed. Woo. I was, you know, just never seen for opportunities, things like that. And I always go, okay, what am I doing wrong? And that's where my mom, to her credit, said, it's not you. It looks exactly like what I was going through when I started my career 30 years ago. It just may not be as obvious or overt. And so we went on this journey, and I know I had to go through this journey if I was going to be the filmmaker I wanted to be, because I'm no longer second guessing myself. I'm no longer trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong, and I'm no longer taking things personally. Obviously, I'm going to have insecurities. I'm going to go, you know, into opportunities that are bigger than I'm ready for, or, you know, my next project's going to be a couple $1 million. Here we go, you know. But I'm not second guessing. I know what's going on, and I know how to maneuver it. And so one of the things was it like the biggest challenge in making the film was really just how long it takes. I think trying to find the story. We wanted to run this fine line of telling you about this issue, but also making it welcoming so that you left feeling like you're hopeful, you know, so that you feel like change can happen, because I had to feel that way. And I knew people watching the movie needed to feel that way. And so, you know, we followed people for many years. There are many versions of the movie, and now the movie that you see now is because of a lot of people helping. Even the person that was in the chat, Dennis, they brought us to a conference so that we could do a test screening. Test screenings, everybody. Do test screenings. And that is actually the conference we realized dads are probably one of our biggest audience, because they're going, I know my daughters are going through this. What do I need to do? And so it was challenging how long it took, especially being an independent filmmaker. But it wasn't something I was just going to let go. Thanks.
Wonderful. Great question, Daria. And now we have one from Dylan.
Dylan.
From the monster moderating.
On the same token as Daria's question, what was your favorite moment in the film? You know, that which could be either something in an interview or one of the responses from one of the kids, or behind the scenes, or maybe something that didn't even make it into the cut of the film. What was your favorite moment?
So remember, I was telling y'all stories about how my mom was a go-getter a lot of the time. Have you guys heard of Gloria Steinem? Right? Okay, good.
Maybe the younger folks haven't, but
Okay. Well, she's basically an icon in this field. And she was at that White House Summit on Working Families, and she was standing in the hall, just hanging out. And I immediately went, ah, she's right there. And I froze. Mom's like, go ask her for a picture, go talk to her. And I was like, and I said, we can't pass this up, but I could not physically move. And so she ran over, and I think with the context of my daughter really loves you, she was able to get the in. And so we went and we took a picture together, and she said, well, I said, you inspire me. And she said, we inspire each other. And I was like, oh my gosh. So look her up. She's kind of a big deal. Thank you. She's like, I love it. You know, in the photo of us, we all look exhausted because it was the end of this huge conference, but I will cherish it forever. So that's one of my favorites. And then once you see the movie, you'll see a scene in the very opening 3 minutes of the movie. The Girl Scouts call me out for something that everyone thinks is hilarious. And I'll just leave it at that.
I like your response. It's a good response.
It's fun.
Daria,
It's fun to laugh at yourself.
it's important to laugh at yourself, I think, all people. Daria, did you have another question? You look like you were about to ask. No?
Nope.
Okay. So one thing I was really interested in, did you face any negative repercussions for calling out these examples of bias in your industry?
Yeah, totally. When I first started the film, no one was talking about this issue. I lost my mentor, who thought I was basically biting the hand that feeds me. And so I was scared going, should I just let it go? Should I just let it slide? So that was tough, because when we first started the film, people were like, why are you rocking the boat? Stop complaining, just work harder. But I knew there was more. It's not anyone you know, Matt. I saw your message. It's not anyone you know, but thank you for asking. He's like, list of names. Who was it?
I want to
It's
stop
just-
watching their movies.
I know, right? I know. I mean, long story short, that person is now saying, oh, you're right. I just didn't realize.
After the fact.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, there was another colleague who jumped at the chance to know more about this film, and that's what made them go, oh, she's not just complaining. I think that was hard to realize my industry wasn't going to support me in this. And we did get way more support outside of the film industry when we first started. And now the film industry is saying, oh, yeah, you're onto something here. Thanks,
Very
Matt.
nice. And then Regina just would like to say that the Girl Scouts were very funny.
Yeah.
There are a lot of moments in the film that are heartwarming. And just going through the same education you did in making film, it's so important to get those moments, because those heart-grabbing moments are what really make the film work. I mean, to me, you have so much heartwarming stuff from the kids and some other things I don't want to spoil, but and then when you see the stoppage that they get, it hits you hard, and I think that's great. Along those lines, so when people are watching this and their heart is getting grabbed, which it will when you watch it, what do you want people to take away from it?
The biggest message for women who are like me is just to see that you're not alone. It's not your fault, because that was something I really needed. And for mentors watching the film, teachers, parents, to see that there is a path. It can be done. I think what's hard is we're running this race, and sometimes you feel like you're alone. And I think I have opened up thanks to making this film. And I see everyone else that is here to support, is here to champion you. So I know for me, it was something I had to go through and have this really tough journey. And that's kind of the point of being a filmmaker, being a writer. You go through this journey so that the person watching doesn't have to waste 6 years of their life, and they can go with you and feel it too, and realize that they can do something. It's my job now as a leader to turn around and make sure I'm implementing these very lessons that I'm hoping other leaders would do. And then it's important for people starting out in their careers to make sure that they keep this all in mind. Like, it's important that we acknowledge stereotypes when they're invading a decision. It's important for us to be allies to other people in the room. I mean, I'm a white woman. How can I help others? So, that's a long-winded way of saying I want people to walk away from the film feeling like there's hope, that you can do something starting right now. And it takes every single day deciding to do something, even just at the grocery store, y'all. There's always something to make people feel more included, because that's the world I want. How about you?
Definitely. Go ahead, Francesca.
Oh, I was just going to say, I guess it's my turn to take over because Matt's voice is like shot now.
Well,
Oh, is
and
it?
you'll do a better job anyway. So go ahead.
Okay. Um, thanks, Dylan. Enjoy work. So first, I just, as a producer, because Leonora has told us not to call ourselves aspiring, we are like put that positive energy out there. So as a producer, watching you talk to Brad, who is, a big pivotal role, I feel, in the film, about money and just the way he talked to you about money was powerful for me. Like that kind of shook me in a way. And this correlates with my next question is like sorry, my fiance is doing dishes in the other room. I can't hear that I'm what was your biggest surprise in making it? Like, was it that interaction with Brad? Was it, getting to have that interaction at the White House? Like,
So I love that Leonora came and talked to you all. I love Leonora. This is so cool. She's inspired me when it comes to cinematography and filmmaking. She's amazing. So there's a few things that I took away from the film that I repeat today is what Lucy Sanders says about stereotype threat. Sometimes we're fulfilling a stereotype because we don't want to fulfill it. And we don't put ourselves up for opportunities because, when I was starting out, at USC, there was this kind of assumption that directors who are women are either indecisive or aggressive. And I didn't want to be either. And so I was always like catching myself and trying not to do these things to the point where I almost lost like a sense of self. And she said, that's stereotype threat. And then she also said something to me that sometimes we perpetuate that stereotype by saying things like, I'm not like most women. I'm not like most women because I like math. How damaging is that? And so I had to forgive myself a lot for the stuff that I had been trained to say. And so I think, my conversation with her was like, she was giving me the technical reasons of why I was feeling very lost. And so that was really important to me. And then also, Kat Cole was the person who helped me understand what unconscious bias was in a business setting. She's like, you expect to walk in and just focus on the work and other people don't see it that way. And that still rings true. I walk in and I say, these people may not see me how I need them to see me, but I still have to do the work and I still have to show up. And I still have to prove to myself that this is the level of work I can do. And then, you talk about it or you have to confront things when it happens. But so I think the most surprising was just understanding that, I wasn't alone. There are statistics to prove that women are getting chipped away at the moment they start their career. And then actually putting a definition to it made it not hurt as much. I was like, oh, because that's what's happening. Yeah, thanks.
Cool. I know we've got about 10 minutes left, I believe. So my next question is, what do you mean by pioneers and wide skirts?
Good one. So it started out a little tongue-in-cheek, like, because a lot of the advice when I first started out was like, don't wear a dress, don't wear makeup, I was like, but I want to. Like, why am I not considered a leader, even though I want to dress up? So it started out a little of that tongue-in-cheek, but I will tell you, it was inspired by a photo of these women from the 50s that's in one of the women's groups that I'm a part of. And they were in their Sunday best, as in the South, that means your pearls, your bonnet, right? Or I don't know. They were in their Sunday best and standing on top of these mounds of dirt with shovels, ready to break ground on a headquarters, a local headquarters, their first headquarters. And I see that photo and I just go, pioneers in skirts. And then we went, we're like, what? And it became this, why can't you wear a skirt and be a pioneer? And then also, I don't wear a skirt that much anymore. So it's just like, you can be feminine and take charge.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed you wearing your pearls during the beginning portion of the movie too.
I do.
Were there any interviews or stories in the film that surprised you?
Well, you like me being surprised, don't you? I'm shocked.
I like surprises. I like that emotional aspect. Matt, that's all I like.
Let's see. Well, the Girl Scouts were really fun. I didn't realize I liked teaching so much until I worked with them. And I do have a dry sense of humor that I think actually works with kids a lot better. If you see some of my earlier work, it's geared more towards that kind of audience, and they all really love it. And I didn't realize that was my audience until I started making movies, and it's like, why do the kids like my stuff so much? And I think just making the film with my mom was really exciting. Just being able to know her as a career woman, obviously she worked when, as I was growing up. So that was something that was always going to happen, but just getting to know her and spend more time with her and you could ask her and she'd say, it was exciting to actually see Ashley in action. And so I joke, I'm like, if you ever want to feel really good about yourself, get your mom to know what you do and she'll talk you up. She'll be like, she's so good. I'm like, yeah. But we, in the movie, we have all this footage from when she filmed me when I was like 5 years old. So I'd say maybe the biggest surprise there is realizing that it was my mom who got me into filmmaking. She was the one with the video camera.
I love that. We've got Sandra Thompson from Facebook, gives you 2 thumbs up. Great job. And then we have a question from Tim Lloyd. How would you define compromise versus the loss of self?
I need more information. Compromise versus loss of self.
I think what he's asking is how far do you compromise before you lose yourself? That's what I get out of it.
How
do you,
what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, kind of the balance. Like, where does that go to?
So here's the advice I got. First of all, like you step into the situation yourself and you ask for feedback. And if you start to hear the same kind of feedback, then you go, okay, maybe I do need to compromise. Maybe I do need to fix something. So always being willing to get better, be open to feedback, be open to change. And there's a lot of great programs out there that kind of teach you the kind of personality you are and the personality the other people are you're working with. So if you ever want to actually get into the science of it, that's out there. But for me, it's really just being mindful and saying, okay, something I'm doing here isn't working. Let's talk. Let's figure it out. You take emotion out of there. You take feelings. No one's going to get hurt feelings. Let's just talk about it. And I have found that to be probably the most powerful tool is just say, listen, let's level set here. And again, in the South, we have it's our come to Jesus moment. That's what we call it. But in the business world, you say level set.
We have that in Kansas too.
Okay, good. I'm from North Carolina, in case that wasn't obvious.
Okay, so I have one more question, and then it'll probably be like any comments you want to close on. But do you think the tone and voice of your film would be different if you shot it with somebody else that wasn't your mom? Did you think it helped give it that tone with your mom?
Yeah, it was like 2 different generations approaching the same problem. So like one of the things is we kind of came to it wondering things. We ask things, we think we know the solution, and then we go out and we do the research. I mean, there is so much out there telling me that it's because I'm a millennial. Oh, millennials are lazy. You're upset that people are calling you these things or not assuming you do good work because you're a millennial and you expect people to bow down before you or something. I'm like, oh God. So I think there was a lot of me second guessing myself because of all the research that's out there telling me it's my fault. And it was her saying, no, like, no, you are not this way. That is not who you are. And so I, like I said before, is you need somebody who's going to be there championing if you can't champion yourself in the moment or something. And then it would go the other way too, is like, I would make sure we're not, and obviously Leanne didn't do this, but, it was so quick for people to figure out what women were doing wrong. And neither of us liked that. And so we would come up with solutions generationally and go, okay, is this a solution? Would that work? And so it was very research based, but yeah, it's definitely a better movie because she was a part of it. If she's listening.
She is. She's commenting on Facebook.
She's there. Oh, she's there. Hey, Mom.
Is there anything you'd like to close with? Any comments?
Yes. So thank you, all of you, for being here. And thank you for bringing me to Washburn University. We were supposed to be in person last year, and then this pandemic happened or whatever. But I do want to encourage everyone to see the film. It's available until 10 o'clock tomorrow. And then if you miss it, or if you want to share it with other people beyond that, it is available online. We do host screenings for companies, communities, and schools. And right now we're doing a global impact movie relay, and the film is actually available in all of the UN languages, thanks to a sponsorship, because they wanted it to be more inclusive. So as you're watching, put it in Arabic. Just see how that looks. It's pretty cool. I have no idea what it says, but it's really inspiring to have this kind of support, and I encourage bring this film into your other groups, like Regina was saying, like even Girl Scout troops, like we have them watching it. We have all these different options for how you can view it. I mean, Matt knows, we're just like, we want it seen. We want people talking about it. And so Boy Scouts, yes, my friend, Boy Scouts too, thank you. But yeah, we really just want it out there and people talking about it, and hopefully encouraging conversations of progress, right? Actually meaningful conversations to move forward. And we're seeing that happen. That's the really cool thing, is we're actually seeing it happen and getting the support behind that. So pioneersandskirts.com to learn more about us, and then to check out how you can screen the film in your community.
And if you missed any part of this, this will be on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, that you can rewatch this conversation and hopefully inspire you to watch the movie. I strongly recommend that you watch the movie. And I also just want to say, Ashley, it's so nice to see you doing so well and being successful and spreading the word of this movie. It is wonderful. Thank you very much for coming here and sharing everything. It's great.
Thanks for being our champion, Matt. You're the coolest. Thank you.
I would say thanks more emphatically if I had a voice. But
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, and talk to you later.